Descending into underground floor 2 of the Abyss Tree's familiar land, the students find themselves in a gloomy, desolate landscape littered with shattered buildings. Trudging aimlessly through the ruined darkness, a battered group of surviving students presses on. Bloody and bandaged, their slumped postures reveal the sheer toll of the deadly trials. The grueling march overwhelms a short-haired girl who loses her footing and collapses onto the stony path, alarming her blonde classmate walking beside her. Kneeling beside her, the blonde girl checks on her fallen companion. The exhausted student can only murmur that the ordeal is too hard to endure. Shivering uncontrollably, she complains of agonizing leg pain, thirst, hunger, and the freezing cold. Trying to lift her spirits, the blonde girl urges her to hold on, promising they will soon find a safe place to rest. Helping her friend up, she notes that despite their miserable condition, it is at least a relief they aren't facing imminent death from monsters. She recalls their miraculous escape, finding it strange how a pack of attacking hellhounds had suddenly bolted in the opposite direction, inadvertently sparing their lives. Distracted by these thoughts, she fails to notice the student ahead abruptly stopping. Colliding with the boy's back, she angrily yells at him to move aside. However, he ignores her completely, trembling as he stammers in pure shock. Paralyzed by terror, he stares at a colossal, nightmarish plant looming over the ruins. Its massive, petal-like head centers around a gaping maw of jagged teeth, surrounded by a writhing mass of thick, dark vines. Bracketed by twisted roots, the terrified student wonders if the grotesque entity is merely a dried flower, though its tooth-filled maw makes it look exactly like a monster's corpse. Despite its eerie appearance, another student cautiously notes that the thick roots emit a comforting warmth. Overhearing this, the freezing group eagerly gathers around. The blonde girl suggests using the soft, warm roots as pillows to recover. Relieved by the radiating heat, the exhausted students slump against the seemingly dead plant to escape the biting cold. Suddenly, Vikir arrives, immediately recognizing the threat. He urgently orders everyone away from the vines, warning the bewildered students that the plant is a highly dangerous monster, and instructing them to keep their distance. Before they can heed Vikir's warning, a boy steps forward with a mocking smirk. Dismissing the towering plant as completely dead, he mocks Vikir for spreading unnecessary panic. Chuckling cruelly, the bully taunts that Vikir has only survived this far because of his pathetic cowardice, sharply ordering him to get lost. As Grenouille prepares to speak up, the gray-haired bully calls his name, and a heavy hand clamps down on his shoulder. Grenouille glares furiously at the gray-haired student and his companion, the same classmates who used him as bait to save themselves earlier. As the bully smiles casually with fake surprise at his survival, Grenouille seethes with intense rage. Spotting Grenouille's clenched fists, the bullies mockingly note his temper, claiming they see him in a new light now that he is showing some spine. Gritting his teeth, Grenouille listens as the arrogant pair brushes off their betrayal, audaciously claiming he only survived thanks to them. Pushed past his breaking point, Grenouille snaps, violently grabbing the gray-haired bully's collar and screaming at him for making excuses after the absolute hell they caused. Unfazed, the gray-haired bully remarks that Grenouille clearly hasn't grasped their grim new reality. With a swift motion, he flips Grenouille over his shoulder, violently slamming him onto the hard stone. As Grenouille gasps for air, the bullies loom over him. The gray-haired student coldly explains that while nobility and wealth grant authority outside, only raw physical strength matters inside the tower. Adding insult to injury, the bully points out Grenouille's hypocrisy, reminding him he initially sought them out only to use them as subordinates. Warning him never to cross their path again, he orders Grenouille to lie there and cool off. The treacherous classmates walk away confidently, leaving Grenouille sprawled in the dirt. Watching from the shadows, other survivors whisper among themselves, callously mocking Grenouille's swift fall from grace and agreeing he deserves the humiliation without his external advantages. Later, wandering alone down a ruined alleyway, Grenouille trembles with humiliation. Gripping his injured arm, he mutters a vengeful vow, swearing to use his family's power to erase those bullies and their bloodlines the moment he escapes this hell. Yet the bully's parting words echo in his mind, reminding him of his own selfish intentions during the Hellhound attack. Clenching his fist, Grenouille grimly admits his betrayers aren't entirely wrong about his character. His dark thoughts are interrupted by an intoxicating, savory scent. Sniffing deeply, his mouth waters uncontrollably as he desperately wonders where such delicious food can be found in this barren wasteland. Following the aroma to a ruined structure, he finds warm light and mouth-watering scents pouring from a shattered doorway. Driven by intense hunger, Grenouille immediately sprints toward the source. Bursting inside, he begs whoever is cooking to share the food, but his eager words die in his throat. Vikir sits calmly by a roaring campfire, roasting thick skewers of meat. Sometime later, Granui slumps against the stone wall, rubbing his stuffed stomach in absolute satisfaction. Admitting he never imagined roasted sewer rat could taste so delicious, he curiously asks how Vikir brought cooking tools into the tower, wondering if he possesses a magical spatial pouch. Vikir glances over at his classmate, his expression remaining completely unreadable. Remaining silent, Vikir keeps his unique artifact a secret. His impenetrable sacred ring has its defensive barrier deactivated, but its spatial pocket mode remains functional, bearing the ominous inscription that the realm of God ends here. This spatial distortion effortlessly provides his supplies. Sweating nervously, Granui questions what kind of entity the Quiet Archer truly is, vividly recalling Vikir's impossible feats, single-handedly massacring 100 hellhounds and brutally defeating an A+ rank Cerberus in close-quarters combat. Though desperate to interrogate Vikir about his immense hidden strength, a nagging instinct warns Granuile that prying too deeply into these secrets will lead past the point of no return. Opting for a safer topic, Granuile guiltily asks why Vikir is treating him so kindly, pointing out that he constantly belittled his commoner status back at the academy. Vikir replies that the reason is quite obvious. He explains Granuile has simply proven to be a much better person than initially assumed, and there is no ulterior motive beyond that fact. Overwhelmed by the unexpected validation, tears well in Granui's eyes. Desperate to maintain his haughty facade, he aggressively rubs his eyes, loudly blaming the campfire's smoke and haughtily ordering the commoner to fan it away. Hastily changing the subject, he asks why Vikir warned the students about the seemingly dead giant flower. Vikir's expression instantly darkens, telling Granuia he will find out the answer very soon. Meanwhile, near the massive plant, a student walks alone through the thick vines carrying a bundle of firewood. Navigating the tangled path, the student accidentally scrapes his arm, allowing a single drop of blood to fall directly onto the giant root's surface. The moment the blood makes contact, the supposedly dead root violently twitches. Absorbing the crimson droplet, the plant's veins instantly begin pulsing with an ominous, glowing red energy. Unaware of the deadly reaction, the student continues walking as the massive vines slither upward like giant tentacles. Sensing a shadow, he glances back, his eyes widening in paralyzing terror upon realizing the monstrosity is alive. A deafening screech soon echoes across the wasteland. Back at their campfire, Granui flinches in alarm, while Vikir simply glances over his shoulder, calmly noting that the giant plant has finally woken up.